Today is Friday, April 11th, 2025, and they are actively trying to get rid of the evidence, linking them to the deliberate fraud and defamation campaign that's actually criminal harassment, not just through third parties, through the Queen, Her Majesty the Queen herself, through Google indexing, through the global World Wide Web. So again, whoever is doing the removal of the indexing is just as incompetent as them because they did not remove all the keywords that they are using. For example, if you put Alexa Baciso, you won't get the publications that reference the HRTO, pretty much decision that is evidence of, let's just be very clear, high treason, life in prison, all right, and conspiracy to commit fraud. 9-year-long process. But what now I believe happened is they made it 9 years because they were hoping that I would kill myself. All right. But they also made it 9 years because they had already tried to assassinate my character online using my previous legal name by attaching it literally exactly like my first name, A-U-L-A, is nowhere near Alex. But they found a man, harassed him, destabilized him, and then criminally charged him at the Supreme Court in absentia. I mean, was he even in Canada? They seem to be having a pattern where they like to bring in men to false testify, both white and racialized, that couldn't possibly testify to anything because they're not physically in Canada. The pattern will still hold. They're targeting me because I am really smart, because I'm high IQ, but because I don't subscribe to their supremacy. When I interact with them, I interact with confidence, and as an equal, they want me to interact with them by giving up my dignity. So much so that Maureen Doyle actually called Ottawa Police during one of my hearings, and I've already uploaded and shared those emails because she doesn't like that I am entitled to my charter rights. Well, guess what? I'm a Canadian citizen. I uploaded my Canadian citizenship certificate. Whether you like it or not, I am entitled to every single charter right that exists, which includes being free from discrimination. And when the state is defaming Her Royal Majesty the Queen, in order to target me, yes, I have to call it out. But because there's no formal location to report fraud in the public interest or high treason, and I've called police in the past, I've messaged lots of government offices, okay, which include Justin Trudeau, the Prime Minister, and the Conservatives, and Lisa MacLeod, and Chandra Arya. There is no process in place because this is acceptable, because the people that run this country at the provincial level and the federal level, because the federal does have some oversight, they are not competent or qualified to do their job, because if they were, they would have a system in place that makes sure that people in positions of power like this don't engage in such blatant acts of fraud. Like, there is no way to cover this up. I have years of emails. Years. Trust me when I tell you, I have a lot to share, and I don't even have to because I've proven everything. But they still cannot delete all of the evidence. So, for example, if you put Alexa Baciso investigation, you're going to get the third-party publications that they, on a balance of probabilities, solicited to market this idea that video recording as an accommodation is bad. And how can Canadian employers prevent it? But the reality is the Human Rights Tribunal of Ontario themselves, in writing, granted me the accommodation on grounds of disability to video record all of my proceedings and interactions as an accommodation. It's in writing. Okay? And of course I'm going to be posting it. But time is of the essence. The fraud and the high treason and the connections, those are the biggest priorities because they can't delete the public record. Yeah, they can't delete the public record. And if they themselves granted me this accommodation, but yet are claiming that this is not an accommodation, and having it published all over the internet as a problem, even putting my first and last name in a textbook, this is all about pressure for me to go away, legally change my name, and shrink. And if you've read my novel, you know one thing about me. I believe in the rule of law. I believe in the rule of law. I am a Canadian citizen, and my loyalty is to the government of Canada. The head of our state is Her Royal Majesty the Queen. This has to be addressed. So now, the witnesses in the future criminal trial, where all of these women are going to be tried in front of the entire country after a public inquiry, or hopefully during a public inquiry, is going to include basically possibly charging all of these publications for breaches in privacy, for not consulting me to access permission to talk about me, and to make money off of my defamation, public humiliation. And to do that for free does not sound like it would be the case. I want to know who paid them, who reached out to them. Was it Laurie Ferris? Was it the University of Waterloo? Was it the vice chair? Was it the Crown Attorney? How did they learn about this, and why did they choose, as a collective, to defame me online? One of them even wrote an entire chapter in a textbook about this, and alluded to neurodivergence as a disorder, just because some people think it's a disorder, despite it being so misunderstood that Asperger's has been removed from the DSM-5, which captures high IQ autistics like myself. And then pretending that, okay, we'll just use the word autistic, they're all disordered. No, my IQ is higher than the average IQ. You can't call me disordered because on a balance of probabilities, I think faster than you, and I am smarter than you. It may take me longer to process the information, especially if I'm suffering autistic shutdown, which 100% happen. But I will always figure out what happened, even if it takes 10 years. That is why I'm high IQ. It's called hyperfocus. So the publications that will be witnesses and possibly also charged in the future are Rubin Tomlinson. Check out the date, October 21, 2021. Open Education Alberta, like, why do people in Alberta have to know about me when I live in Ontario? That's a whole other question. And look, difficult interviewee, reluctant interviewees, non-answer answers, challenging or manipulative people, hostile or violent people, individuals with neurodiversity. Literally listing autism, the first order of business, right? And then listing me by first and last name, listing this very specific Ramona Ganantham defamation and her withholding of the decision to literally have every excuse to cover up for all of the money that's likely being made illegally by everyone attached to these absentia criminal charges on Canadians who are not white or are men. Just so it's clear, all white and non-white men will be targeted in this way because these are feminists. Okay, these women are feminists. They hate men, they hate the patriarchy, but they acknowledge the supremacy of men, which is why they're so hateful. Okay? Now, when you get a woman that loves being a woman and loves males or male leadership, well, of course, they're not going to like you. I respect everybody the exact same way. Nobody's above me. Nobody's below me. But these types of women, they want to break me because they want me to feel like I'm below them. Well, guess what? I'm an equal, whether you like it or not. Guess what? I'm telling the absolute truth because you will be held accountable. Guess what? I will be compensated for all of this. And guess what? I may not have the money for the lawyer, but my family does. And who knows who else is going to come forward that you've done this to as well. These people literally have to drop the charges at the Supreme Court and publish them in the public record in order to remove that off the internet. Because I have the number, and the number is literally indexed to my first name before it was legally changed, which has nothing in common with the men that they charged. That is not a mistake. That is intentional. And the fact that the new decision was released on the exact same day by the Human Rights Tribunal of Ontario that I submitted my legal name change certificate suggests that they read all of my emails right away and they intentionally do not respond because I've been flagged as somebody that holds them accountable. And not responding to emails over many years is one of the ways you can psychologically mind F somebody. They want me to end my life. They want me to kill myself. Well, guess what? I know you want that, but it's not happening. So if I am murdered or if I disappear, you will be tried in a court of law for murder. And I want you to be investigated for attempted murder. And I also want a public inquiry that determines how many others committed suicide because of your process. All of this is going to happen. And it's why you're scrambling. Okay, so let's continue with this literal textbook meant to just target me as an overall horrible person because they know that I have video recordings. So all of the articles are about how video recording is not an accommodation, despite the Human Rights Tribunal of Ontario literally giving it to me as an accommodation in writing. Coming soon. It's just that I have to do things in order, right? So you have to understand why this is deliberate, why it is criminal. Criminals hide and work together. Mentally ill people, they call the police on themselves because they don't want to hurt anybody. The fact that these people tried to hurt James and that man just to get to me tells me that they've hurt lots and lots and lots of men. And we can figure out who they are because they will come forward. Okay, so let's just be clear. There we go. Basiso versus Power Systems Technology. Limited 2021. Actually, this is great. This is evidence that I was promoted to the position of manager for Power Systems. Yeah, everything that has happened to me, by the way, is because I got promoted without a salary increase to the title of Manager of Communications and Marketing. Like I'm the Manager of Communications and Marketing and Samantha Newman-Corrigal. I'm not kidding you. Asked me to eat the leftovers of her food. Tampered with my food, put a used napkin in my food. And she expected me to eat the leftovers of her food. And when I would throw it out, she would come back. She's like, you didn't eat the food. Like, why would I eat your garbage? I don't know in what culture you ask people to eat the leftovers of your food. That's not how the world works. And this is why it's racism and it's white supremacy. Because she didn't do that with anyone else in the office, just me. These types of white feminist-minded women, they require self-tokenizing racialized people. So the moment that another woman is treating herself with respect and as an equal, they need to break her. And if they can't break her, they work in groups to try and tear her down. I don't use the word feminism. I use white supremacy or white feminism, white supremacy-minded feminism. Because you can do your own research. But the only racialized woman that they will support is a veiled woman, which is why veiled women do not represent Arabic women like me. That are non-veiled are completely ignored. You can find the link for Kenley because it's attached to these publications. They only removed the indexing on Google, meaning that they deliberately indexed it to Google because they wanted me to be defamed. This is why it's important for me to do these real-time videos, okay? These women deliberately wanted people to look me up and find their decision on Google. We're in 2025. And when I outed them with the evidence that I have, immediately, within 24 hours, all the indexing was removed. But because they tend to hire people like them who are not as competent or qualified because they don't pay racialized people well. And the white people that they hire generally don't have competencies. I mean, I've worked in government. Go to any IT department. Like, you have to be white for IT 01 and above. Okay? They literally, just like a sea of white people, even though every department I've ever been in my life, whether it's a college or university, in engineering and science is literally all Arabs and Indians and Chinese people. But yet, you go to any department in the Canadian government that is specializing in IT, they only hire racialized people at the call center, help desk, and everybody else is just like a, like the rules don't apply on them. Okay, and that includes Samantha Newman Corgo. She's a high school dropout. She's a manager at SSC. And it took her like 6 months to get that job because she knows somebody, and they don't apply equal opportunity recruitment. And everybody that she's managing is in danger, okay? Because she tampered with my food. She harassed me personally. And it's because of her, Power Systems has all these records, out of their hand on the internet about basically hiring someone like her that gave them so much liability. The issue isn't me. The issue is that he decided to hire an incompetent white woman to manage his office. And he thinks that I should bear the brunt of that. No. So I just want you to understand that this decision was withheld from me in order to damage my reputation and cause me significant harm that I can't work, that people might think I'm a criminal because I do disclose my previous legal name on my resume in order to basically benefit from my entrepreneurship and leadership skills under my name, especially in the links that I showed you, like my Daytime Ottawa, interviews, like my West Nickel stuff, all that stuff. Yes, I did start to put it on my resume, which explains why everybody is basically not calling me back, because I didn't know that they turned me into a fake, criminal by proxy by ruining another man's life. Now, this has been shared by 99. Like, it's been cited by 99 other organizations or people. Okay. And it's still up, but they're trying to make it hard to find.